I get to hear from a lot of people on a daily basis, either through comments or emails, and I'd say the biggest pain point that I hear people express can be summarized in 5 words. Life got in the way. You know, people will say, hey, I was starting my flight training and then life happened. Or I was really interested in doing this, but before you know it, I had kids and then 25 years passed, life got in the way. And honestly, I kind of thought that was something that's like, that'll never happen to me. And then I had a kid and it totally happened to me. I mean, life happened and huge priorities happened to where now like it's getting a lot harder to prioritize flying. And some of you who are already parents out there are like chuckling in the corner like, yeah, dude, welcome to the club. So I'm having to face a new challenge here of how do you still fit in flying when you have less time in your life now and you have really good priorities and good responsibilities that just require your time and attention, but you still want to pursue aviation. And so I think that overlap of like, I hear that from people all the time, and now I'm experiencing myself and having to make some life adjustments. I think it's a great time to talk about it. So I want to tell you what I'm kind of implementing in my own life and my own thought process, and hopefully it's going to be able to help a lot of you along the way too. The first thing I've been telling myself is sometimes you just got to give yourself some grace and some room to just not pursue aviation for a while. I know when my son Caleb was born, he was in the NICU and just adjusting to all of that. I mean, we had our hands full. Like there was no way I was going to fly that week or even that month with everything going on. And as much as I wanted to, and I felt bad that I wasn't, like I just had to extend myself some grace and say, you know what, this is obviously way more important than flying will ever be. Your family and your health and you know, those fundamental things. So don't beat yourself up over it if you've got a really good reason that you haven't flown. I'm not at all saying that your excuse is invalid. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. I think it is valid. But with that, I also do think we need to start to get practical about it and not hang in that space too long. It's important to give ourselves grace, but if we're not careful, you know, putting it off a day or a week will turn into months or years very, very quickly, as I think many of you have expressed and might be feeling right now. So we do need to move into some practical solutions. The second step has been to challenge my own assumptions. Is the problem solvable? Is it workable? So the problem of I want to fly, I want to pursue aviation, but life is getting in the way. Like, is that actually workable right now or is it not? So when Caleb was born and we were in the hospital, the obvious answer was no. Like I just simply can't fly right now. But then as we've gone farther and farther along, like the answer to that has started to become, well, yes. I mean, yes, we have lots of logistical things going on. We have lots of sleep deprivation and things, but you're starting to have a little bit more flexibility. If I'm really honest with myself, yes, this problem is workable. It's not easy. It's not going to just happen naturally by itself, but it is workable. So can I commit to the problem being workable, the problem being solvable? And then if and when the problem is solvable, so yes, there's probably a way to fit aviation into my life. Now we can move into some practical solutions to actually get that done. Next, I've been working on a bit of a mindset shift where instead of looking at my life and aviation as two separate things, I've been trying to kind of integrate them. So that way it's harder for life to get in the way of aviation because aviation is just kind of a way of life for me. So that might sound really simple or maybe kind of out there, but I think it's really, really powerful. And I'll give you a non-aviation example. I've been really trying to incorporate fitness back into my life. I used to be really fit and then just my health has not been prioritized the last few years. I want to lose weight and I just found it really difficult to prioritize because for any number of reasons, I've got meetings today, I'm tired today, I'm doing this later, I was up late last night, you name it. It's really easy to say, I'm not going to work out today. And then that turns into a few years. We all know how that goes. And so lately, I just totally try to flip that around and say, instead of trying to work this into my day, I'm just going to start my day with this. And every morning at 5 a.m., you will find me on the Peloton. And for the last many weeks, I've been doing that and it's been awesome. So it's hard, right? I mean, it's hard waking up at 4 a.m. every day, but I've been doing it. And it has made it a lot harder for life to get in the way because fitness is just part of my life. Table stakes, bare assumptions, like fitness will be part of my life. That's what I'm really trying to focus on. So obviously you're not going to wake up and fly every morning at 5 a.m., but could you make the same mind shift and not look at them as separate things, but just go ahead and start talking like and believing that, hey, aviation is part of my life. They're not separate. Next is gaining the support from others. My wife and I have had a lot of great conversations about this, and she's so supportive of aviation. I'm so thankful for that. And she's supportive because she knows that for me to be the best version of myself for her and for our son, you know, to be able to show up in those capacities, I also still have to exist as an individual. There are things like flying that really gratify me and fill me up and get me going, and that ultimately benefits them. Now, that's not a hall pass to just disappear whenever I want and pull the flying cards like, oh, I need to be the best version of myself, so I'll see you tomorrow. It doesn't work like that. But in general, I have support for just, okay, kind of going back to the last point, I have support from her that, yes, aviation can and should be a part of my life. So honestly, this might be the hardest component for some of you out there if you don't have supportive partners and other supportive people in your life. And I'm rooting for you. It's just a hard conversation that sometimes we need to have and isn't always an easy one. I'm really blessed that I've always had the support of my wife, but that is a really, really critical component to try to get support from those around you. So with those 4 steps as a foundation, then I would suggest we just get ultra practical about scheduling your flying. Actually get something on the calendar. I think there's a lot of magic that happens when you put something on the calendar, because then we tend to operate the rest of our life around that calendar event. I mean, it happens with non-flying things all the time. Hey, so-and-so is coming over for dinner Thursday night. Okay, well, that means I can't work late on Thursday, which means I need to really be conscious of how I spend my Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at work so that Thursday isn't too stressful so that I can show up and not work late. You see how it impacts your entire week just because you have dinner on the calendar Thursday night, or you're getting breakfast with a friend Tuesday morning. Okay, well, I need to schedule my meetings and not stay up too late Monday night. I mean, you start working yourself around that. So can you get things on the calendar with aviation? That's been really helpful for me. And in fact, I've started to schedule each Wednesday morning to go fly, even just for a little bit. Weekends have proven to be a little bit challenging for us now with our son. They're not off the table, but they're just a little more challenging. So I'm carving out a part of my week to work around that and kind of schedule my work accordingly so that I can still fly Wednesday mornings. That might not be an option for everyone, but it could be. Like, how do you actually go schedule that? So my challenge to you is, what is the next practical step you could take towards aviation? Is it, scheduling a discovery flight? Is it scheduling your first lesson? Is it, planning a time to talk with your spouse and say, hey, you know what? I've been thinking about this for a long time. I really want to dive in. Can we talk about what that would look like? I mean, what is just the simplest next step that you can take? And if you don't know where to start, I've actually come out with a new resource totally built around helping you start your aviation journey. It's a 25-page PDF that has all of the most common starter questions that I get asked answered all in one place. So you'll get the question and then a short answer and then a link off to a fuller resource if you want to read elaborated kind of commentary on that topic. And you can get it at airplaneacademy.com/start. It's totally free, and I'm just trying to help you get started in your aviation journey. airplaneacademy.com/start. And in case you didn't get it from me earlier in the video, I just want to reiterate that some of your life got in the way moments are truly challenging circumstances. I'm not at all trying to take away from that, and some of us have really good reasons that just, hey, flying is just off the table right now. But I'm learning in my own life that sometimes when it feels as though flying should be off the table, if I challenge my assumptions a little bit, I will find that usually this situation can be workable, and if I get really practical about it, it usually can be solved. So that is my encouragement to you, and I hope that you will get started with your aviation journey.